The Oversman and Faces podcast is now sponsored by Tyre Spot, the Northeast's leading tyre supplier with branches across the region. Tyre Spot don't just do tyres, they cover everything from servicing to wheel alignment. They can handle every aspect of your car's maintenance. For more information, visit tyrespot.co.uk. Enjoy the episode. Hi everybody, welcome back to the Oversman and Faces podcast on the Gallowgateshots YouTube channel. Once again, it is the four of us. And I tell you what, the four of us have had a canny little weekend.
I'm bloody knackered. I know. I'm absolutely knackered.
I'm worn out like that.
So we've made an
We're
agreement.
finished yet.
What are you gonna do?
We'll have made an agreement here that we're not going to go on forever tonight.
An hour. Sorry,
An
we're still
hour.
doing it.
An
Now
hour.
you're joking.
Do you know what it
I
is?
want me bed.
I want to.
No, it's not hot.
I want a bubble bath. I feel like I need a bubble bath right now.
If I come and have a bubble bath with you, if I rub
No,
your feet
I'll
and you
stay
rub
here for
mine,
2
I
hours.
was gonna say,
I'll stay here for 2 hours if you're getting to be bath, mate.
I wonder how little water you would have to
there'd be very little water.
Never
Wouldn't
A drip.
it? It'd be lovely though.
But yeah, we first spent the weekend in the capital. I'm not sure if anybody did realise, but Newcastle United made a cup final. Shall we just talk about the weekend as a whole rather than the match itself? Because I think a lot of people have been concentrating on the result and saying that it was a shite outcome to such a decent campaign. But it was a good weekend.
That's the story of us in cups. Full stop.
It was a good weekend, and I'm going to enjoy that moment, and I'm going to just reminisce, even though it was only the last couple of days. I'm going to sit and reminisce how good this weekend has been.
Something that I will say is that there are now 2 Newcastle players to have scored at Wembley in our lifetimes.
Well,
There's not because it's been taken off him.
It's been overturned.
It's been taken off him.
This is back to Rashford.
I'm happy for him because you don't want that in your record, but it's no.
I'm happy. He hasn't scored an own goal.
It's been given back to Rashford, apparently.
I think we would have won if we had a war suit, personally. You know how
What us for?
You know how annoyed I was that we didn't wear suits. But
Should have started a group called War Suits, and everyone in Gallowgate has to wear like a fucking tux.
were you not? I bet you're more old school like I am. You love to see Joe Linton in a nice suit coming on the pitch, expecting the
Did they ever
pitch.
do that in the League Cup?
I thought that's it for me. It's an FA Cup thing for me. That like.
Not remember when
Well, we're in the shit cup anyway.
Florian
aren't we, so?
Thauvin and Jan Gambino. No, it wasn't Jan Gambino.
Oh, it was a tux, wasn't it?
Mbemba.
Yeah.
Chancellor Mbemba had the tux on it.
It was a kid.
Thauvin.
He
Thauvin,
looked
yeah.
lovely, didn't he?
Chancel.
He looked lush.
No.
He looked lush.
That doesn't bother me. I prefer to see a manager in his suit. But
Yeah.
if Eddie Howe's getting results, which this season we've had a bit of a funny month or two, but we're still doing well. Beat the cup final. I'm okay with it.
Do you not think that's a manager thing rather than a coach these days?
Maybe. I know Steve Bruce was a funny one in many ways. But he would wear a suit for his pre-match and post-match patter, but a tracksuit on the sidelines.
Did he get showered between?
Probably not.
I'm not privy to that information, Christopher.
Imagine like, Bruce was getting in the shower with the lads after the match. I've got to put my suit on.
That wouldn't take much filling that. But
Well, to be fair, if you think anybody that's been on the stadium tour before the refurb, it was just that weird bath thing in the corner, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Awful.
It was. So let's just talk about the weekend then, Mark. You were down there first thing on Friday.
Yeah, we got there Friday afternoon. So yeah, enjoyed it.
Was it busy on Friday when you got down?
There was even on the journey down. Obviously, there was everybody was kind of in black and white, wearing kits, merchandise, and stuff like that. Everybody heading down, and there was a big buzz and excitement kind of around the weekend, the game.
Buzz is a big buzz, isn't he?
Big buzz.
Buzz off Home Alone as well.
There's loads of big buzzers.
Big B's. I remember Big B's.
I didn't see many Man United fans, like, if I'm being honest. Me and Chris met our first Man United fan at the same time.
Was he Irish?
On Sunday.
Just before the match.
So that
just
shows
before
you
the match.
how long it took to get to there.
Yeah, I never seen him.
They all live down there, don't they? So
We're waiting for that taxi though. After the game, we're seeing quite a few walking past. But that was about it, right?
Well, we'll get on to that bit. We'll get on to that bit. Do you think it's because we made more of an occasion of it? And Man United fans, I just think, I know the joke of that they're not from Manchester, blah, blah.
All the ones I spoke to a good few yesterday because you do. I was wondering how it would work out at full time, and I wonder if it was Newcastle v Sunderland or if it's Liverpool. Liverpool is a bad example. Millwall, West Ham. If they happen to play a final cup final, would they do the same thing where all the fans just kind of go out together? Because I was talking to Man U fans all the way down Wembley way on the way out. And I thought, well, it was pretty jovial for the most part. Some Newcastle fans took issue with something that happened and started having to try and have a push and shove, but it didn't. It kind of petered out. But I thought, well, I wonder if there's more segregation, if there's more of a kind of rivalry.
You would have thought so. There would be more of a police presence. You would have thought.
But something I thought, he said about being an occasion of it. I got the train through to Harrow. That's 3 stops away. After the match, that's where my hotel was, and there was Man U fans on there, and I was saying to my mate Kieran. I went down, we drove down, we take on Kieran. Like they look bored on the train going out. They look like it's just like kind of a really
normal
simple, transactional.
It was like go to the game, then go home.
You know how we've always the cliche Newcastle fans are, if I've gone missing for a week and all that. Yeah, big party central. It was just we're going home. Like the end of The Graduate, where they're on the bus together. It was like that because they've had this big thing where it's a spoiler, but it's a 50-year-old film, 55-year-old film now, so it can't be that much of a spoiler. But at the end of The Graduate, the kind of Dustin Hoffman gets the last Anne Bancroft from the wedding, and they go and sit on the bus together, and the camera sits on them for a little bit, and they go from this elation to just kind of sitting on the bus and say, well, what happens next? Well, and that to me was what the Man U fans were like. It was like they didn't have that. It was just, oh well, that's that done. That's another game of football.
Do you imagine if they made a second one of them and you found out what happened after they got off the bus? That'd be interesting, wouldn't it?
Just nothing's with 100 now. Like it would be a weird one.
Can he bus ride that?
It'd be like that. It was hard to get it Wembley way, innit?
I think that's what success does, though. And I think we've spoken about, like, Man City fans, haven't we, saying like that there's no atmosphere there. They can't sell quarterfinal cup tickets for the Champions League, and where like if we win the quarterfinals, we'd be cooling around the block. And yeah, we probably would. But like to them, the Carabao Cup final will not mean as much as it does to us. It's simple. They've won the Champions League, for Christ's sake. Like, it's not going to, is it? Like it's a League Cup fixture, which I mean, even look at the before the game. I mean, we were there giving a 10 out with flags and stuff. Like, and I was looking and laughing, going, they haven't even turned up yet. Like their top tier was empty, and we were giving it 10 out. And then it did fill up, literally a second before kickoff. But they didn't really care.
It's strange that like they complain so much about that they haven't won anything for so long.
Like 5-6 years, was it?
Yeah. Yet they don't, want to celebrate the fact that they've now done it.
And you know what it is? If that's a winner's mentality, I'll take a loser's mentality anytime.
That's it.
No
well,
bother.
I thought, we were waiting because I thought it was freezing, but we were waiting.
It was. Can I just confirm, Decker? We're in agreement. It was absolutely freezing.
It was freezing
all weekend. It was bitter.
And we were walking for ages to try and get somewhere so we could get an Uber, and we were just walking, and eventually we stopped. And there was hundreds, but like 10 going past, 5 going past, 3 going past. Hey, it was as if them had lost. They looked devastated, didn't they? Just walking past, and I'm thinking if that had been us that had won, we would have been gone 10 out.
To be fair, they were probably as cold as we were.
No,
I would have been rifling through bins looking for empty cans and stuff like that. Like,
honestly, they were just walking past if they had just lost.
It's all right. I'd hidden with a little stash that we had before we went in. I'd kept them safe. They might still be there.
So if we go back before the game, right? If we go back to the Saturday, right? So obviously, Mark, you got there on the Friday. Jack and me and you got there 3 o'clock Saturday, thereabouts.
I'll give or take.
Thereabouts, and then we quick shower and straight out, headed to Trafalgar Square.
A quick shower? I'd hate to see you take a long shower.
I just got in the can. That was it. I was ready to go.
So we'll get the tube and we'll head to Trafalgar Square. Coming off the tube station at Leicester Square, I want to say we got off.
along the road,
So you're coming off and we're going up the escalator. The noise of the Newcastle fans, like going up, like to get out of the underground, and people coming down the escalator recording the Newcastle fans going up. And I put them in the Dean Ford at the top of the escalator, and you just seeing like your mates like just dotted around London is absolutely mental. And just the point where you just follow the crowd and you know obviously which direction they're headed in. When I walked around the corner and saw Trafalgar Square, I just went shit. Like
it was unbelievable, wasn't it?
Rammed.
Absolutely.
I think the coppers came out and said there was 8,000 there. It looked a lot more
It
than
looked like more than-
8,000.
When I wasn't there, I didn't get down there till Sunday.
8,000.
8,000 they've said.
Somebody's
So it looked like a lot more.
somebody's abacus isn't working in London.
It was absolutely rammed.
I think. Do you think they've had like the keyboard was sticky when they typed that or something?
Your
Because
keyboard's
there's some
sticky.
definitely some digits missing there. Like,
But it was absolutely rammed, and
Like Dan Burn.
just the atmosphere. The atmosphere was mint, absolutely class. And
Yeah, there was no hassle. There was none.
None.
It was just everyone just celebrating the occasion, enjoying themselves. You could see people even around where we were, like getting to know people who had never met before, and they were, it was just a really nice atmosphere. It was lovely.
The thing, I mean, like as I said, I didn't come down until yesterday morning. God, that was only yesterday morning. But I was as excited to see me mates in the colours in London on Wembley way having a beer as I was the match. The match was like it wasn't until just before we're getting the queue to get in that I was like, oh God, we've got it's final today. I was just buzzing to say I've luckily bumped into used to Adam Shell.
that corner was like a hot spot for like bumping into people. It was mental.
Well, the corner house, I was meeting Taylor. I'm going to meet Taylor in the corner house, and he says like half a Hebbins in here. Like basically everyone, like Paulie was in there, Grash Burnham, mate Kibby, like everyone from Hebburn just kind of spilled into the corner house apparently. But it was just lush seeing. Even driving down yesterday morning, we stopped at Watford Gap services, and I did have my flag. My mate who was driving forgot to give us me, so I bought the flag from the black and white bar thing, and it was just chock-a-block with Newcastle fans. It was lush. It was such a nice, and it is the novelty, because it's the first one. And even then, it was sort of, I put in our group earlier on WhatsApp group. There's some kids like who won't have been born in 1999. The last cup final, who were there. I know a few of them on that watch this or that would interact with them on Twitter and stuff like that. It's to wait that long. Of course, it's going to be an exciting. It was just lush. It was a really, really. I loved it. When I got off Wembley Park Tube and kind of came down the step, I was like, oh, a bit of a lumpy throat and all that. It was even now. I was showing Amy the video that the Carabao Cup put on their Instagram of like when the game was done and the flags came out, and it was like, oh, Amy, look at that. And I was like, even like a day and a half later, no one wouldn't have had it. I digested it and all that. Digested a lot. But I was like, even then, I was like, try not to kind of get the bottom of the goal.
I got emotional like at the start when the flags and that, like I really did. And then they played local hero, and I loved how obviously it looked even more what's the word, like impressive that obviously it just stopped bang halfway. So, do you know what I mean? The way that it went round and then stopped and then realised I use a shite and we're like really giving it everything we have here. It just looked so good. Like,
looked amazing. With war flags that played an absolute blinder there. Like,
100%.
The club as well. The club.
Yes, the club as well. It looked incredible.
It was meant that we had the announcer there as well. I thought that was lush as well. I forgot that would have happened.
I was having a beer. I didn't realise that that come out until after the when the flags bits. But I had that.
It was a full staff. The announcer was there. The stewards were there as well, because I was coming back in to go to the toilet, and there was a couple of stewards I recognised from St James's Park. I was like, I didn't realise they did this.
I'd assume Wembley put their own on.
I know
that's all clubs. Obviously, the club tabards on.
I saw that actually. Yes, I saw the crest on the high vis and stuff like that.
The wise old elf wasn't there though.
He might be.
He might have been. He wasn't in the corner where he normally is with us.
A lot of things have been said about the atmosphere inside Wembley, and do you know what it is? The way I'm looking at this is because
I just looked straight at him there.
Is it certain parts of the ground, similar to St James's Park? Because there's some people saying that stewards were telling people to sit down. We never had that where we were sat. We stood the full game.
Yeah, like I think that's it. There is a big variation depending on which block you've happened.
And we were in the lower bowl
to get in. So yeah, we were in the equivalent of the Strawberry Corner.
Yeah,
where we were down on level 1, the lower bowl.
You were right behind me. I didn't obviously see you, but you were.
Yeah. You were like you were just to the left of me.
Yeah.
But yeah, that the entire section stood for the whole game, singing in there. It petered out, but what I've kind of seen across late last night and today is a real mix of people that haven't had issues, people that have been being told to sit down, people complaining that they're in the way, language, that kind of thing. Which I think you're always going to get this kind of problem when everybody's just almost dotted around into different sections and stuff like that. I thought having the standing section behind the goal, I thought would have helped that situation. And I certainly expected to be coming from them, because that seemed to be where everybody that was in pot 1, that were regular away goers and stuff like that, were targeting to to get. But I've got to say, I was completely disappointed in what I didn't hear, basically, from because I did expect them to kind of be where things would start off.
Like what Strawberry Corner is.
Yeah. And again, I don't know, it's because there was just pockets of people in different sections that it was difficult to get things going. But
I think that's what it is. I think normally at the match with your mates, in that crowd, you know who's going to start the chance and where it's going to come from. Once you get to a neutral ground and everybody's scattered all over the shop, it's very hard to get that atmosphere up there. Well, I thought it started off well.
Yeah, no, 100%. It was outstanding at the start. It was absolutely brilliant. But I can only be honest and say I was disappointed by the atmosphere. Like overall, I thought I was stunned. I even asked someone after an hour, going, "Where are them lads at?" Because everyone was standing. I mean, everyone was standing. But I don't know if yours were best, but mine really are.
I had a little bit
everyone
as well.
It's fair. Yeah, it's fair.
Like, literally, even sitting down, you've seen the back of my head. Like, But he says, "Oh, no, I'm okay." So,
we stood for the entire game, and to my left, everyone, and I was only just to the right of where the safer flag was. So, and I asked someone, I went, "Where is the safe standing, lads?" Because I couldn't really hear them, and they went, "Oh, it's them there. They're there." And I went, "Oh," and I expected them to just be giving it absolutely hell. That's what I thought.
I'd assume that as well. Like,
and Adam made a good point. Like he said that when the second goal went in, it was a sucker punch. No, of course it was. But it never ever got to the heights that I honestly thought atmosphere wise it was going to.
See, and what normally happens at home, that when we concede a goal, it sparks people up, and you get an almost a reaction to going behind where it wakes us up, and we'll as a crowd, we'll try and get the team back into it. That just didn't happen.
I tried that after the second goal. Where I was in like the middle tier, level 3, whatever it was called, like with no flags.
Yeah.
So we all I was doing my scarf and all that, like video.
The posh seats.
Through look more than design. I didn't want one, but I didn't want one. That wasn't the seat I would have picked.
God, you're dead ungrateful.
I know. Soz John. But I was disgusted. The lack of atmosphere, and I was in the same block as Adam. And my mate Kev was Renway as well.
You were behind, we're looking down on.
As ever.
Ignoring we.
As ever.
Like Caesar
I was
up there,
absolutely appalled by how it was just nothing.
Really?
It was a bloke who was more 2 or 3 down from me. You could hear him sometimes. I was going ballistic, trying to just that thing when they're 2-0 down, and you can't get on the pitch, and you just want to get on it. And I'm a shite footballer, don't get us wrong, but you think if I can't do that, what can I do? And all I can do is shout and try and encourage. And in the end, I had a right go at the people behind us. I had a right go at them. Like I was effing. I was like, I can't believe this. It's my first cup final in 24 years, and you're sitting in. My words were choice. I says you're sitting in fucking silence on your hands. I was screaming at them.
Wow.
I was like,
you're one of the most nicest guys. I'd never imagine you doing that. Like, so you must have been annoyed.
10 minutes before, I was like, mate, do you want to get in front of us?
If you had been
I was absolutely
seven.
apoplectic. I can't believe that we've waited this long to do this.
Yeah.
We're 2-0 down, and that's what with that raw. And I was like, I tried.
That's what we needed.
And it was like nothing. I was trying to start songs. There was nothing.
I honestly, it was the same way. I mean, there was, of course, there was moments where we were singing and stuff, and there was a moment where I think Bruno tried to get the crowd. Maxi won a corner and was trying, and there was a bit of a cheer, but there's nothing really.
When we went 1 down, Trippier was to the crowd, giving it the come on, get behind. We're in.
Do you think it's because in people's head, because it's away from St. James's Park, people think this is an away game? It's not. It's at a neutral venue, and there's a lot of people from each club there. So it's really, really hard to try and get 30,000 people scattered around to all join in at once.
The strange thing about the situation, I was in, because on the Saturday, because we were already down there, we got up and we went for an early walk around Wembley and stuff like that. And it was deserted other than people working there. And then as we started heading back to the Tube, Newcastle fans were coming up and that kind of thing. Started seeing more and more, obviously you give each other a nod and stuff like that, and then gets on the Tube to go back into King's Cross. And we timed it absolutely perfectly. As we're coming out of the subway at King's Cross, the Newcastle train from Newcastle was coming in.
Yeah.
So we got out and there was, I think it was African protest or something, I think it was, outside with drums and playing all sorts of music. And then you just heard this noise coming from the stadium, and I'm like, from the station, and I'm like, that's them coming out, and it just got louder and louder, and it is weird because that happens every time you go to King's Cross, but it was really surreal not not being in that crowd,
Yeah.
making that noise coming out, being on the outside, having that coming towards you was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like kind of there. And from that minute of that first train arriving into King's Cross, it was just literally every 20 minutes, every half an hour, more and more trains were coming in. And from that minute of that first train, I never heard people stop singing from the entire day of Saturday, all around King's Cross, in all of the pubs, like O'Neill's, around the corner at the Dolphin was, I've never seen anything like it. They were outside, the whole street was full of people. There was just noise everywhere. Obviously, then we later on, we go into Trafalgar Square, as you've said, mind, we made the mistake of getting off at Covent Garden. Anybody that gets off at Covent Garden, I'm going to tell you this now, if you ever go back to Covent Garden, take the lift. Ignore the sign that says exit via stairs. Do not take them stairs.
There's a big sign though says there is 1 billion steps ahead of you.
Yeah, but that's once you're on the stairs.
It's bad, isn't it?
It's horrendous.
You must have been fucked, weren't you?
I was dead. Absolutely dead. I'd have a rest. Like 3/4 of the way up. Yeah,
the spiral ones.
So, but it was actually
I've done them before, like by mistake.
there was a bloke who wasn't handling it very well. No, it wasn't. So I just stopped, which helped me a bit. I stopped with him, just like, all right.
You stopped to help him when
I stopped to help him.
having a rest.
No, I did. I stopped to help him whilst having a rest. And then we got to the top and stuff like that. But from there on, and then into Trafalgar Square, everybody was singing. The next morning, obviously, we all met for breakfast and stuff like that.
So we went to the Wetherspoons in Ealing, and that was just full of Newcastle fans.
Every except one. And this was our first encounter with a Man United fan across the whole time that we'd been there. But
do you reckon Chicharito got a Man United fan for his birthday?
Probably.
So yeah, that was our first encounter with a Man U fan. That would have been 4 hours before kickoff.
Yeah.
Where was that? Was that
still breakfast?
Oh, was it? Wasn't it?
Yeah, but he was upstairs.
It was in the toilet.
Oh right,
he was wearing an unfortunate shirt, and then. Obviously, we got up to the ground, and again, once we got up there in the streets, the pubs, the atmosphere was fantastic.
All Newcastle fans,
everybody singing, really enjoying themselves. So I just couldn't understand how that last 36 hours. God, whether everybody have lost the voices or the occasion just got to the fans or what, because it just seemed to evaporate.
Do you think it was nerves?
Once we got there,
I don't understand how it could possibly be nerves. I don't. People react differently in different situations, but like, I don't understand how a fan. I was nervous. I was up until the game. I wasn't. I had a couple of beers with Adam before the match. On the concourse, and just it was jovial. As I say, it was just lush. I saw Dwight Gale was in the queue behind me. Josh Murphy was there. Dwight Gale was like, and I want to before I answer your question, Chris.
Okay,
I'm going to digress a little bit here.
As always,
as I like to do, as you know. But it was I had a couple of beers and all that. But it was like Dwight Gale was like in the queue with his beard on his shoulders. Gale had not this shirt. Be big. And the Bain had a Newcastle shirt on. It was like before we signed Dwight Gale, he had nothing to do with Newcastle. He was a non-league Crystal Palace. He probably scored past a couple of times, but then and he only really had maybe 1.5 really good seasons for us. And yet the club's had that much of an effect on him. He's not our player anymore. He's a Stoke player.
It's not just him either.
No. But that much of an effect. Josh Murphy's back way, but like Rob Elliott, it's happening. It happens to a lot of players, especially at the minute. Like it gets under their skin. And for Dwight Gale to be queuing with us, bear on his shoulders, the lads are singing songs about it. It was lush. It was a proper. It was quite an effective moment.
What pot do you reckon he was in?
He was.
What pot do you reckon he was in? Dwight Gale.
What period?
Period. Sorry.
I call him Pots. One of the ones I shouted at for being too but like big Stevie Watson, that's not nice. Steve Watson was there, milling about.
That's the thing. There was so many.
Dabby's ass was there, and I was. I went past him and I actually knocked him by him. I didn't know he was at that point. I just knocked him and I went, sorry, Jesus, Nick. And I gave him a hug and he was fine. Then he done off but he was there as well.
That's it. There was just so many ex-players, and it's exactly what you've just said. That this club, I mean, and we know it very, very well. It has a lasting effect on you.
Yeah.
You know, like I've seen pictures of James Perch there, and how long is it since he's played? Obviously, good friend of the podcast, Mr. Over the Wall was there, and that kind of thing. So the other one, the original, the OG Over the Wall.
I still need to watch those podcasts.
So have you still not watched them?
Do you know, to reference what Chris said about, obviously, you think it's an away day, but it's kind of not. every time I've went to an away game, you know, when you go to the to the bar area, Concourse. Sorry, apologise, forgot the name. It's absolute hell on normally. I mean, hell on.
It's carnage.
It was like a funeral, like before the game and half time. To be quite honest, like, everyone's just sitting quite normal, and that's when like what Chris has just referenced there was probably the first time I felt like that, thinking, oh, actually, this is like a home game in a way, like because I was expecting the lads that were just being going mental, you know, like throwing beer everywhere, and you know, but there was nothing like that at all. It was all very.
Was that not because nobody could buy a beer? Because it took you 4 hours to get a single
I got
beer.
one.
I got
that's because you were the posh seats.
I had an argument with a couple of lads because they were really discussing towards this poor young girl who was serving. They were just horrendous towards her.
Yeah.
So I had to go with them. But apart from that, I was.
God, you used to have been very aggressive this weekend, haven't you?
Oh, bless her though. She was like,
she
was trying to. She was. You could see it in her eyes. She was shit. She's looking up there, and she was like, "He's got a billion men in front of you," and they were like, "Fuck!" And she was like, just panicking, and I was like, lads, aren't that so much? I'm gonna settle the fuck down. She'll serve you in a minute, and then she served me next. But I definitely was not next either. But she served me, so she's a lovely girl.
Well, you see, I don't understand how it can be nervous because I suppose, like I say, people are different. To me, the nervous energy got released as singing and trying to get by in a team. So I don't know any other way in a spectating context, like watching a football match. I don't do it at the cinema, but like screaming towards the end of Infinity War a few years ago, like just put that glove on. But like if watching a football match, that's all I know how to do. I can't affect the game any other way. And if my voice is one of 32,000 saying "get back," then if that minuscule effect it might have, then you know that's what St James's Park is allegedly renowned for. You know, got the cauldron, the cathedral, the fortress, whatever you want to call it. I don't think it really is that, but it certainly isn't anymore. Like, but yeah, it was just really underwhelming. The atmosphere.
Well, honestly, 100%. And I didn't really want to. I seen what you put in the group, and I was like, oh well, because I thought maybe the only one sitting here. I felt like that. Honestly, I did because I know Chris, you were.
But it's strange because Matty made the comment that, and like Matty was sitting 3 seats along from me, but then I thought, well, is it because he's used to sitting in a quiet part of the stadium compared to we're used to sitting in a night? Like all three of us sit in the same area. So do we? That's because you're on the back row.
I'm naughty.
Whether or not that plays a part in it, as well as where he's maybe used to it being more quiet than that, where used to it being more noisy. Because again, I mean, Eddie Howe, a lot of the players have came out and thanked the fans for the support and the noise and stuff like that. Yeah. Everybody that was kind of listening at home on the radio or watching it on TV mentioned how much noise the fans made in comparison to the Man United fans and stuff like that. So
I still think there was definitely moments in the game where, you know, where we were all full voice.
It's spread to us as well.
But
times,
this is always has been and will always be my worry. If we ever extended the stadium or moved to a bigger stadium, I'm never saying we'll have maybe an 80,000 size of Wembley, but I always feel, go back when St James's Park before it got extended. Yeah, it was white noise, cauldron of. It was from my opinion, because I was younger then. Maybe
that's how I remember it as well.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And when we've extended it, we lost a bit of it then. Having said that, I definitely think the last 12 months of probably getting that back. Arsenal at home will always stand with me in terms of that. And the game when the takeover happened, that first game, them first 5 minutes, just unbelievable, white hot, you know.
There's been lots of times this season when the atmosphere has been fantastic.
Yeah,
and everybody's got involved in it.
It was constant.
Because I came away from the game thinking I've actually been to better home games in terms of atmosphere. Like this season, probably actually. Yeah, honestly, God, that's how I felt coming away.
It looked incredible. The flags before, I know I said.
Unbelievable.
I was looking at before the game. I've got a couple of photos of the contrast between out with the black and white stripes that look unbelievable. And Manu had the scarves, and which when they actually got going didn't look too bad. But I thought, God, it looks like. It's chalk and cheese. It's incredible what a difference it. And to be a player coming out and watching that, and again towards the end of the game, I mentioned again earlier when the class came out, I was like, "This is unbelievable." That was
a lovely moment. I couldn't see a fucking thing. I think they nearly scored, didn't they? Then broke because I was trying to play, and that was when Bruno should have scored.
Made this,
right at the end.
So because you brought him up, let's discuss Karius. So a lot of people are nervous that Karius was be starting. I think that was said that Karius wasn't. If we were going to lose the game, it wouldn't be down to Karius.
I think I was one that I was more nervous than any of you.
Yeah. I was a bit nervous. He hadn't played in 2 years. He put a thing on Instagram today to say like it was
good to be back.
And I think for me, the first 6 minutes, I thought he was nervous. You could see.
Yeah.
There was one where him and Shea didn't quite communicate properly. There was a couple of kicks that
were poor.
Were a bit, but then after that, I remember thinking, oh, well, like for him, for as much as for us and for the game, I was thinking, oh, well, like I want to see you for us. And after the first, I would say it was 6 minutes, or I looked at the clock after the last of his kicks, I didn't go very well. Nothing. I wouldn't change a single thing about his performance after that. I thought he was, I wouldn't say excellent.
Pulled up 2 min saves.
I think we could have lost 4 or 5-0 if it wasn't for him.
The save down the right with Rashford, one that we just referenced.
Yep.
I thought he was fine. He didn't put a foot wrong for the rest of the game for me.
Yeah, that Weghorst had an unbelievable save. That was right where I was sitting as well, and that was going in. It was a great save.
Like
he cut one of the balls out that was just landing at Rashford's feet as well.
Yeah,
one came across and he just picked that up.
No, he was great. On the strength of that, I would say, well, if Dubravka goes, I'm not as concerned as somewhere if he wants to go, he's already kind of gone once like Man U, got his winners medal and all that. So
the only one in live moment where I was sitting, I thought the second goal was dreadful. But then I've seen it back twice now, and I'm like, oh, actually, I think I was wrong the first time when I seen it with my own eyes at first. I was totally wrong because there's nothing.
Kind of slices off Botman's, and he's already anticipating.
He's already
He gets a hand to it as it goes. If it had been like Shatter Hislop, maybe that kind of height, maybe he could have got it. But he's got no blame at all for that.
No, he hasn't.
He can't do anything with the first one. The first one, we'll go the first goal now. Sorry, Chris, I've done it again. I thought Rashford was offside before the free kick. The ball comes down their left hand side to Rashford. Bruno, I've not seen the foul since. I thought Bruno at the time was a bit
soft,
a bit naive.
Really soft.
Apparently Rashford was already going down.
Really soft.
But I thought
Bruno comes in like a steam train. Though.
It was stupid.
It was naive from Bruno. I thought
I
don't think Bruno had a great game. But I thought that Rashford was offside then. I was thinking, he's going to bring that back. And of course,
actually
they scored from the free kick, and I thought, well, it doesn't get checked because it's different.
Well, they wouldn't bring that back, They wouldn't bring that back just for an offside and play like that.
Yeah, and I think that's a bit.
If they'd have scored from that movement, then yes.
Yeah.
But because obviously it stops, he gets a free kick.
I understand it to a certain degree.
I did think it was
every decision he'd been kind of.
Non-stop.
That's true. I did think it was soft at the time. I was shouting the ball and going, "What the? That's soft as out." But the media when the free kick was going, I said, "Why are you doing that?" Like. It was like a pure Jack Colback style tackle where he just barged into someone out the back. He was going nowhere. There was 3 players around him. He was the third, but there was 3 players around him. And listen, I'm not going to get on players' backs, but like sometimes I feel he did it where he lost the ball and he got injured from it because he sliding tackled. He's hit our end of the fans, and I almost feel it's a like a, you know what I mean? It's like a shove in front of us to go like I'm giving it here.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, and I just feel like. There's just no reason for it at all.
It was
no
bad
reason.
I still love it, but it was.
No. Hey,
it was.
I'm not saying. Yeah, of course. It was just stupid.
You could have done better.
It was just stupid. There's no need to do it. But equally, I mean, it happened, and you've then got to defend it better than we did. You can't. You can't. That's not Bruno's fault because we're conceded. I'm just saying the foul was a bit soft. Yeah. It's a good ball over. I have to give them credit for that. But it was.
You get up well, but when it's between our 2 centre.
I know between them. I know. Yeah, it is.
That's disappointing.
It is very disappointing. Yeah, and to be fair. I will be honest here. When the first goal went in, I thought we don't deserve to be 1-0 down. That is for damn sure. Because I thought we nearly scored at the other end with Max's chance.
We had 3 good chances before they scored.
Yeah.
And I just didn't feel we reacted well at all going behind. The second goal came. When was the second goal?
It was about 6 minutes, wasn't it?
Yeah, it wasn't much.
Yeah, it wasn't. It didn't seem long to me, but I didn't feel we reacted well going 1-0 down. However, though. At 0-0, we had the better. I thought we had the better chances. I thought we were commanding the game with a better team. Yeah. We had a few chances. I think Maxi's was probably the most clear-cut chance, I would say, in terms of actually there was a chance.
They forced the save.
Do you know what I mean? There was a few little half moments and stuff in that period, but and then we found ourselves 2-0 down. I was like, "Fuck, how we're 2-0 down here?" That's how it felt to me, anyway.
It felt like a charity shield in '96. I thought this is going to be 4 or 5 outlets. I kind of it just felt like because coming forward, they only really had Rashford. I thought they looked for him every time.
Anthony was causing.
Not a bad option to have, though, is it?
Anthony was causing. Anthony, though, he's a funny one because I don't feel he actually does anything, but he has moments in the game where he makes you look daft for a second.
Was that one thing?
But he doesn't actually do.
Yeah, I don't rate him at all.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like
for me, he did absolutely nothing.
That's what he is. That's what I'm saying. So in a moment in the game, he'll tear your inside out. But actually, nothing happens with that moment of the play. He's fast as out, but nothing really happens.
Sounds like somebody.
He's not going to go anywhere. He's not. No, I don't think much of him at all, to be honest with you. But I mean, he made him look ridiculously silly at times in that game. But that happens. Football.
I thought that Maxi did really well for him. It was from the long stuff ball across. We just didn't
flashed it across.
And Max is really well drops the shoulder, makes Dalot look daft.
Oh my God, he sold him, didn't he?
Past him.
And it's a good save by. But if you think, wow, that's just. And it's not. This isn't a criticism of Maxi at all. But you think it's the frustrating that hasn't gone in.
Yeah, of course.
Because it's the way he takes them on. It's like,
yeah, because when I
I
seen it, obviously I was waiting in the ground. Do you know what I mean? And when I seen it, I thought, Christ, how. And then obviously they were showing you the replays quite quickly on the big screen, and I was like, "Fuck me, he sent to the shops there." But you know, it was. There's a few frustrating things in the game for me. I don't know. Can I be? Or that would be frustrating. Wilson hasn't looked the same player since the World Cup. Like, you know, you think of how he was before going to the World Cup, or if you imagine the Wilson that we knew when we were all sitting and say he has to be picked, he has to be on the plane, deserves to go.
Yeah.
Goodness Lord, he doesn't even. He looks nowhere near
massively when Isak came on.
Well, I know we'll get onto him as well, which I would like to talk about as well. I thought, I know the left-hand side is everyone's talking point and everyone's frustrated at one guy, right? I'm getting tired of the right-hand side, though. I'm sorry. I've been thinking about it all day, and I was on the way home, that I cannot, from box to box, right? We play some lovely football in tight areas. You know, we're getting under pressure and we'll find a way out. We don't seem to like to shoot. I'm not really sure why. At the certain moments in the game, I'm thinking, go on, then hit it. Nah.
Yeah, there's a little,
and then we'll work it out.
Like
why
to pass the ball around the box.
Right
and I'm like, so annoying. What are you doing? Like, and I'm sure I referenced this a few weeks ago. Like, we do unbelievably to work it out wide, but then won't cross it either. So I think, why are you making it out? You're doing great to get out wide. I'll reference one. I had an argument with someone behind us actually, because there was a couple of times I was shouting, right, cross it, we didn't cross it, right? Come back inside, lost it. Trippier kills movements going forward, by the way. I feel like we're breaking like an express train, and he'll put his foot on the ball, takes a look, takes a breather, goes back, and I'm like, fuck, momentum's gone. But there was a couple of times where I thought he could have crossed it, right? And the lad behind me went, there's no one in the fucking middle, man. What are you on about? So the next 3 times I thought, well, I'll see who's in the middle. 3 times in a row, Wilson and Isak made the movement to go, and the cross didn't come, so they had to come back. And I just feel if you're passing it really well and working it out wide, and then don't cross it, I don't understand what you're trying to do.
It's almost like we're trying to walk the ball into the box, or to try and.
I'm not going to say the perfect goal, but score a really good goal. Like,
just
pass, you know what I mean? Like a really good.
There was twice where we flashed the ball across the box. One where it went across and it came to saying on the far side, as you've mentioned.
Yeah.
Where possibly, and I don't know, I'm probably being a little bit harsh here. If maybe instead of flashing, if he just lifted his head up, because Wilson had just held his run a little bit in the 6-yard box, and he could have just pulled it back, but. You've got, half of you've got to think when you got your head down and you're going through like that, you blast it across because you've got a chance of it coming off a defender or something like that, or the keeper putting a hand out and it coming back out to somebody. And then we did one in the second half over on the right-hand side, where again, when Trippier did get into the byline, I think he was probably offside in that point as well when I've kind of seen it back. But again, he flashes that across, and that's the save that De Gea makes, cuts it out, because Wilson's standing there waiting to tap that one in.
There was a passage of play where I think Joe Linton had one blocked. There was a couple had a few shots,
quite early in the second half.
But that came from a cross where them really they found it difficult to handle, and we were getting the second ball, but then that was getting blocked and etc. But
what a great chance when Dan Burn had a great chance.
The header.
Oh yeah.
Should be doing a hell of a lot better with that cross.
Again,
is that the one where he's getting fouled though?
Because that's what Scott mentioned.
He's still towering.
Shaw's got
people weight.
I don't know if it is that one, or is that the one where
there was one in the first half that went
tips
wide.
It over in the top corner,
just wide.
But I think
second half, wasn't it?
There was not shooting enough, by the way. It's infuriating us. That is infuriating us, because I feel like we're getting in great areas and we're still looking for an extra pass and then an extra pass. That's annoying us,
especially when we've got so many people on the edge of the box.
Yeah.
Like it's almost as if they wanted to come in the and then we have had those little where there's been runners in the box and we've been able to pick a ball through to them, but those runs aren't happening.
No.
So you can't. So it's because nobody, and there has been. I mean, we talk about it every week at the match. There's a real lack of movement at the middle. It's almost to just want the ball to come to the feet rather than making a risk for it. And I think, as you mentioned, Isaac, when he came on, because he does like to do that, and that kind of made
he likes
things
picking the ball up and running.
Picking up great.
Well,
Gordon's a similar one. We get more. That was
100%.
Gordon, I think we'll see more of that as well.
He's not a player that wants to be playing with his back to goal at all. He wants it and being able to
move the
ball to go.
Get the space,
And this is where my point. I was speaking to a lot of people at work today, immediately their thought process is, well, Wilson's off and Isak has to start. But if you do that, then Isak cannot do what he did on Sunday because he's playing a totally different position. He was picking the ball up so deep and having time to turn it and then charging at people. And I've sat here how many weeks now, months, and said, I love someone that is direct. I love anyone that's willing to turn and try and commit a player. And Isak was doing that because he was playing almost right 1 minute, then middle, then left. He was just trying to cause trouble, really, wasn't he, everywhere. But he was full of energy. He was direct. But if you put him up front on his own, you go back to what Mark mentioned there, he's going to be back towards goal, hoping to get, it's difficult. It's going to be different.
Game, was it a week or two ago? Or sitting here going, he's not centre forward, is he?
He's not. I don't think he is.
Kind of, was it West
Bournemouth?
Ham? Bournemouth might be Bournemouth, yeah. Might be Bournemouth.
It's those teams that sit back and don't allow him that space to.
What I do want to mention, though, right, is as much criticism that he's had over the years. And I think everybody likes the kid. Jacob Murphy coming on. Only one that wanted to have a shot.
Played well. He played well. He was close. He was very close.
Only one that was brave enough to take a shot.
Very close. Very close.
Quite, from the angle I had, I didn't get a very good.
De Gea's flat foot, and that's in. If that's on target,
yeah,
that's in.
Because from where I'm sitting, I don't know how close it was, but I can honestly, at the time when he said De Gea, was panicking because when it went in, when it went wide, you went, oh God.
He looks like he got his weight all wrong.
All wrong.
I thought it took a touch. I'd assumed it because he's so far, looking like his right hand side and it goes past his left. I'd assume that it's taking a touch on the way through or something. But
he tried, I think it was 2 shots he tried, just out of nothing.
Yeah, and he blazed one over, right? And there was loads of people going off it, and I was like, hey, I'm not going to criticize someone that's trying like that. Like, he was trying to make something happen, he was having a go. That's fine by me, that. Like,
a 2-0 down, you've got to have a 2-0 down.
What are you going to say? What are you going to say? He's dying to say something, so I can say it.
I'll let the viewers make their own decision about you and Jacob Murphy.
But that's what I'm saying, though. You see, I'm not stupid. Like some people that are just stuck in the ways. Some people are just stuck in the ways that if they hate someone, it doesn't matter what they do. They could cure cancer and they still hate them. It doesn't matter because their opinion is it's been that. My opinion will change week to week, month to month, right? And Murphy came on there, and I thought he made a difference. Like he played really well. Yeah. There was a bit where Man United broke, and he absolutely belted back and then slid and got the ball back. It was absolutely brilliant.
Can somebody clip this piece of the podcast and some of the other podcasters where Decker talks about Mr. Murphy?
I know, because I just judge on if someone's trying to. I think what's different, right? This is another thing, right? I hate this thing about having to work hard. It just drives at the wall. Because every single player on that pitch worked hard, I thought, it's not enough, man. We got beat. We could have still be playing now and we wouldn't have scored. Because you know what you need in football to win things? You need quality, man. You need to have players with quality, not someone that runs around and fucking tries
you
hard.
Can't just have
sick of hearing it, man.
You can't just have quality without effort there.
Well, maybe, but like
that's why Ten Hag has turned that team around.
Well, that's fair to say. But I think at the end of the day, they were just better.
Other way, 100%.
They were a better team than we were. There's no.
You look at the stats. If you look at that,
we had more shots.
On paper, we beat that team. If you ignore obviously the top line, look at possession. Look at possession. The passing completion, shots on targets, all of that.
They have more
stuff.
shots on target. No, have I read that?
We had more shots.
No,
I think we had more shots. They had more on target. I think.
I feel like we never troubled them at all. I mean, we had a lot of the ball.
Karius makes a couple of good saves. 2 goals.
That is the difference, though. Yes, if you look at the stats, it probably looks like we dominated that one. But just like the Liverpool game the week before, Liverpool took their chances and we didn't.
I was sitting in the bar in Harrow before we went through to Wembley, and I was going through our team thinking, who have we got here that's won stuff? I've been in finals with Trippier won the league in Spain. Apparently, Miggy did it in Argentina, which is second division or something like that.
No, Miggy done it for Atlanta, didn't he?
I
said exactly that leading up to a few people that I said when the final even got drawn and we knew we were getting. I said they might not have players that have been here before and done it. Yeah. And it's
Casemiro's.
You look at the midfield, right? I could be wrong on me mass here, but like you've got Joe Linton and Bruno here, Brazilian. I think they've got 10 caps between them, and they're all Brunos. I think, and I think him and Fred have got like 100 nod between them. Yeah. Right now, do I think Bruno's a better player than Fred? I do. 100%. But what I'm saying though is this experience sometimes does get you over the line.
I think we need to remember though that I know some of this might have came across negative and stuff like that because the performance wasn't great. Like, let's be honest, it wasn't bad.
It wasn't terrible.
I don't think it was bad. It was all right. They were just better. I thought we did really well
a hell of a lot
the final third.
Well, I did come away. I didn't come away gutted or annoyed. I was just disappointed that I felt.
Didn't turn up. Almiron didn't turn up.
I just felt we didn't lay a glove on them.
Wilson didn't turn up.
Almiron was all over the place.
He can be wherever he wants, but if he's not going to like near the goal having shots.
No, I
that's
think
what I meant.
I think
he didn't do anything going that way.
we've said this before a few times.
I don't know.
I think they're getting found out a little bit.
100%.
I think the teams
10 games now.
Teams have worked out the
Yeah.
Bruno Trippier Miggy thing on the right hand side. And that's nullified Almiron. That's why he's not scoring every game anymore. I think Joe Linton playing deeper doesn't really help with that much.
He's suited him and Willock on that side, left hand
Big
side.
style. Willock, I thought looked knackered when he came on. I don't think it was quite right.
Yeah, Willock just couldn't. I mean, there was times where
He's playing left back.
where he came on and he just couldn't keep up with the play.
Yeah, I like Joe.
Dan
Willock a
Burn
lot,
was
but
having to carry the ball from left back to the left wing at the
I
edge
think
of their
I
box.
think that was a throw of the dice, wasn't it? Like
Yeah.
from Howard
I think
go
by
on and
the
say,
end,
can you make some
bringing him on, bringing Anderson on was just experience more than actually trying to chase again. I was proud. I was really, really proud. I thought we played all right. They just didn't have the quality that Man U have got and the experience, and that'll come when we replace some of the kind of weaker players as they are with more experienced players that are winning things. And then we start winning stuff. Then we've got those players. We'll be sitting here in a couple of years' time going, but playing someone in the final. Think, well, we've got Bruno who's won this, Joe Linton's won this.
You hope so. I think as well. I really do feel that we've got a group of players that have outperformed their own ability for a long stretch of time. By the way, for maybe 9 to 12 months, and unfortunately, all of them now are kind of maybe what they are, if that makes sense. Like you go back to when we were winning games, you had Bruno chipping in with goals left, right, and centre. Miggy was on absolute fire. Like Trippier was scoring free kicks. His set pieces are terrible, by the way. Can I just add this here? Set pieces. We had about 100 corners. It felt like in that second half. 100.
What's with the short corners now?
One of them short ones was horrific, man. He went short and he played a long ball back to Botman. I said, "Where you gone? Where are you gone?" But even the ones that he was taking though it's almost he was trying to score himself half the time, right under the goalkeeper.
He hasn't been right since I can't even remember what a game it was, but he pulled his hamstring a little, but he played on.
You mentioned that a few
he stopped taking the corners, he stopped taking free kicks in that game, and he's just never delivered a ball right since then.
I think that one where they went all the way back to Botman, I think what they're trying to do there is get Man U to come out, get more space in the box, because it went straight back to the Trippier ball came in.
They went back to Trippier.
It's what a short corner does. I used to hate short corners, and you look at it, they take a short corner, and you can move. And Man U, they concentrate on the ball, you've got more chance of getting it.
Well, listen, I
will
will contradict myself. I do it often. Is a few weeks ago I was complaining that we weren't seeing the imagination. We were just laughing and the keepers couldn't ever get it. And then I've just criticised them for doing what they did there. I just felt it was mental.
It was weird.
It was mental.
I was reading a book years ago that statistically, from a corner, you're less likely to score than you are from just putting the cross in.
Aye. Well, we don't like doing that either.
Because when we defend the corner, I mean, we do concede on occasion. We've got 11 players in the box normally. If you take a corner, if you're a forward attacking team putting a corner in and there's 11 opposition players in the box, you do very, very well. Like, even get a shot away. Even get your man to get ahead in the ball to start with.
I think the closest that came from a set piece recently is when Fabian Shaw took it and it smashed off the post, didn't it?
Was that a free kick?
The free kick on the edge of the box. I'm sure it hit the post, didn't it?
Well, Dan Burns' header, obviously, done yesterday.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
Maybe was one of the ones against Liverpool from a set piece.
It's a funny one because the way the game played out was some of that we've mentioned a lot of times. For all Liverpool, we didn't score either, but we struggle to break teams down. Ironically, Man United aren't the team that them are a counter-attacking team. Really, when you watch them play,
100%.
they don't really dominate the games that they win. They're winning all the time, by the way. And fair enough, but they do hit people on the break. And then they went 2-0 in the lead, and they went, okay, then come on, then try and beat us. And we just couldn't do it.
They played really well in regards to tactics because they just sat and conserved their energy. Then spaces behind us, right, we're away.
They were outstanding, by the way, when we got in dangerous moments and they were just onward. So there was a few moments Bruno got the ball in the box. There was a few moments Maxi got the ball. There was about 4 and 5 around every player within seconds.
They limited Barcelona at one shot on target last Thursday. That was a penalty.
Yeah, there you go.
And that's. I mean, that's not to say that it's okay, we're fine because they are that good. Because we haven't been scoring goals. He's got the one against Fulham with drawn 0-0. We've been losing games out scoring. A couple of 1-1s at Bournemouth and stuff, but what it is a concern that the goals have dried up for us now. And for as good as Man U were defensively, and they were very, very good defensively, it's a contributing factor to why we didn't score yesterday.
I also think
at the same time we are looking a bit toothless at the minute.
We're looking toothless, and we also are conceding goals now as well, which is
that's a worry. If anybody does have any questions, send them across. We'll go through as many as possible. I just want to start with Josh Stockton, who has sent another donation in. He says it's £50 this week.
Jesus, Josh, you won the lottery.
Thanks, Josh.
Jesus.
He says, "Hi lads."
Come on, 5-0, and he's just
Yeah, 2-0 on Man U, I think. He says, "Hi lads."
Come and put these to one side because I can get that film finished with it.
I think you've had enough. Hope you had an amazing time yesterday. It was. Do you know what it is? It sounds mental saying it was yesterday. It feels like it was last week.
Yeah,
No, totally.
It's been a long day.
I said like driving. We left the house at like 5:30 on yesterday morning. On
That's
Sunday
what I mean.
morning, and it's like that. It's yesterday, and it feels like it's
crazy.
I was thinking about when you said you were down in London on Friday, and at 3 o'clock on Sunday morning, my eldest shit to bed. And it's like that could have been last year, except for his pajamas. I've only just dried it. Like,
so Josh says, I hope you had an amazing time yesterday. It was my first ever cup final as a fan, and also my first time at Wembley. It's a shame we didn't win, but I'm just happy we got there, and I'm proud of my club. This is just a little something to say. Thanks for your content. Thanks very much, Josh. I think we're all in agreement. I know this part of this might have came across negative and criticising the performance of the players and not really in a glove on Man United, really. But I think we'll just have to take a step back. And I know it's been said loads, but just look at how far we have came in such a short space of time. There's times under that Ashley era would never thought would ever reach a cup final.
close.
And we got to one. And now we're looking at the next one thinking, right,
we're just at the
it's going to come again.
Yeah.
We're just at the start. I was looking at I remember before the World Cup was a Man City account with just beating somebody, with pumped somebody. And they said Newcastle are doing this to teams now. And they're still in the Craig Bellamy Adebayor phase. Like it's over for the rest of the league. That was the start of Man City spending money was going to go Bellamy Adebayor, Elano, I suppose you'd say. And it's like, it's that if things go as we'd like them to go, and I don't suppose that the Saudis have bought Newcastle just to kind of compete.
Just because you mentioned him, do you think once again Chairman was there? Do you think he's looked at that and thought, right, everything else is there, looking at the fan, we put on a spectacle in that cup final.
Oh, yeah.
Do you reckon he's looking at there thinking, now, right, let's invest?
Seen some
Especially
reports
the
today
the
that
Man United takeover as well.
I don't think by Qatar as well, and that's another thing where like if Qatar don't buy Man U, they're buying Liverpool.
It's a piss
They're
and
buying one
contest
of
as
them.
well, isn't it?
And that's in the Middle East. You've got them. You've got the UAE. You've got Man City. Qatar are going to get one of those two, and the Saudis have got it. And that's they on. It's not just about wanting Newcastle to win the league because they want Newcastle to win the league. They want to get one over on, especially Qatar with all the B&Q, BLQ.
The problem you've got though, Man United are years ahead in terms of everything.
Oh yeah.
In terms of money you're allowed to spend, they can spend. This is honest. This is I don't want to be negative really, but you know when I'm hearing a lot of people, it's just the beginning. We'll be there next year. Or the year. You've only got two competitions to get a chance to get in there.
I think
and
the
it's
way
not
think
easy.
of that though is under the Ashley era. We're never getting there.
No,
ever.
I get
but
it.
Now
but,
we've got more of a chance.
We've got to the certainly the quarters. And it's just not easy to get at Wembley. Like it's just not because you've got Spurs have spent a lot of money over the time, and then probably believe them should be at a cup final. They haven't been.
Yeah.
Man City will be there again next year, isn't there? Question about that. Chelsea are spending billions.
Like, that's the thing.
It's really hard. Like it's not easy.
People going like, at the start of the season, I've never understood when people go, I think we're going to get to Wembley this year, and you could get Man City away in the first round.
Exactly.
You just don't know that we've had a nice route to Wembley before.
A lot of home games as well.
And I was talking to this
as did Man United. That's the thing. When you look at both of our routes to the final, they haven't been the most testing.
We've
had Premier League teams in there, mind.
We have, but we haven't came up against one of Arsenal, Man City,
we've had
Liverpool.
3 Premier League teams in there.
The draws have been there, but they played Aston Villa, they played Nottingham Forest, so it's
we
not.
We normally get Man City away. We normally do.
There's an argument there to say that we haven't played it very well in any of the cup games this season, really.
Well, Palace was terrible.
Palace was rubbish. Bournemouth was rubbish. Tranmere walk at beat 1-0 with not very good at all. Well, I'd say Leicester and probably parts of Southampton.
Yeah, but we got there, and you've got to find.
But that's it. To get to the finals, you have to have an element of luck on your side, whether that be through the draws or whether that be through the performances. You can be a brilliant Man City. Man City didn't get there.
Yeah,
on paper they should be winning every game, or Arsenal should be. Chelsea, but again, they got drawn against each other in those games. So one of them has to go out. So again, the draw was not only kind of who we were getting, but the teams that were also drawn against each other and getting knocked out.
I think at that point, the form that we were confident getting anybody. We sat here and said, bring anybody on.
Yeah,
I definitely agree there. But like, we've only won one in the last 7 or 8, right? So imagine, you had that form and then you do get you know, you're saying that we'll take on anyone like next season, because that's what going back to what I was trying to mean. Sorry, was people are saying, oh well, it's only the beginning. We'll be there next time. And I think I was watching a clip from Craig Hope's one, and he's saying like, well, I hope we should be here next year. And I'm thinking, fuck me, like, calm down.
Dangerous. I think
it is dangerous.
People expect it. And you got Man U fans. I was sitting in the bar with a few Man U fans for the game, had a few beers, and they were lush, really nice lads. That came down that morning having a couple of pints, and it was like they were saying, "Oh, I'll be here for 6 years," and I didn't know that because I don't really pay attention to what Man U do that much. But 6 years, I mean, 6 years to us sounds cool. I wish I was every 6 years, but 6 years, if we're there again in 6 years' time and not in the meantime, people are going to start going, "Oh, what's wrong? What's
100%?"
And that Man United are a massive club,
100%.
Who've had a bit of a funny time of late since Ferguson left, really, and still one of the biggest clubs, the top six, and they've been there since time immemorial. Premier League started in 1992. They've been part of that all the way through 30 years. And haven't been at Wembley in 6 years. We've got to be careful that we don't get impatient and we don't go, well, it's all, I thought that this was going to happen, land of milk and honey, like Nirvana and all that. It's not that easy.
100%.
And,
well, we didn't get the final in our Robson in Kevin Keegan's era. We all say it was the best. We never got anywhere near it.
Should have.
Like,
maybe
should have.
Yeah, should have. Chelsea. Yeah.
But like that's what I'm sorry to go back. What I'm trying to say, it's really fucking difficult. You've got 2 cup competitions to get there. You've only got 2 opportunities to get to Wembley. It's damn hard.
Oh, that's only our second League Cup final ever in 60 years. The first one's in 76. I'm massively proud of them. What the
100%.
Even though I don't think I played that well in the cup run, just to be there yesterday. There was the thing in Athletic. I started reading. I didn't finish reading it because I thought I'd want to cry in a conference with lads. It was like the family members of the players sending letters in. I think it got shared a bit on Twitter.
Dan Burns.
I was reading that. I read the first half of his dad's letter and I thought, nah.
Well, he was crying.
I'm saving this.
I was 100% crying.
I'm saving this. I'll probably read it at night and have a bit of a fun one of them, like, because it was like,
I think
the first 2 pages that I was like, oh, this is lovely. Just he dragged us in with a bit of humour, a bit of good, and then I got that last page and that just done me.
I'm
absolutely
really,
done me.
Really proud of them. And if they don't get there in a couple of years or in 4 years, 5 years, then we're going to see the club progress. We're going to get the squad will thick out and it'll become better quality and more experience. Maybe if you're coming as people who've got experience of doing that, like what Man U did with Casemiro, and it's. I do honestly believe we're going to get there. But the
ambition's there now to do it. That's the thing.
The foundation's there. If the chairman was there yesterday, watching that and looking at certainly before the game, the crowd and just the reception that they think, well, how can you fail if you've got the power or the ability to make a difference and make that kind of a regular thing? Then
that's what must be unbelievable when you've got the power and the money, and you're the one with the money, you know, in charge of it, and then you see that, you must think, Christ, what we can achieve here.
You know what I should do? I'm asking them to be employed in an advisory capacity by the club here. Someone involved with PIF.
That's what the French call them.
Create a shell company. You know how like noon, like 3 followers on Twitter or something. A shell company in Saudi that will sponsor the club with and make a logo a massive blue star.
100%, I believe. Yeah,
get that in the front there, because every time you see someone, I wish it were Adidas, I wish it was blue star. This Saudi company, big old blue star on the front of the shirt. There you go. And there's your millions.
Yeah, I've always said that. Yeah, I've always said that.
Or a big orange oval with a blue star in it.
Yep.
Blue Star 100%. Breweries.
100%.
Someone like that. Well, not going to be a brewery in Saudi, can it? However,
or if the Saudis just want to buy this podcast, we've already got a Blue Star there.
I've got a feeling Josh Stockton might be at front
trying to buy it.
Go through some questions.
But before we do
ages, slowly getting sports.
We've got 2 minutes.
We've got ages.
We've got 2 minutes.
Go on, when you've been at one cup final in 30 years, you know. Come on.
I want to mention a couple of positives before I go through the questions. What was said earlier about obviously the letters there, Bestie, the club arranging that for family and friends to write letters for the players. Never heard that ever been done before.
The flowers for the wives and girlfriends,
the partners. That was a lovely touch.
Yeah,
the letters one I found strange. If I'm being honest, I'm not saying it's not nice. I'm just saying it's strange. Like if I got the final, and my dad probably just come around my house and go, "Hey son, you know." But to write a letter, I did find that strange.
The
flowers.
Do you not think it's more? It's more personal though. And
if he's coming and gives
a
hug, he told us that.
I think people can probably be more open with the feelings when they write it down.
Yeah, I agree with you.
It's not spontaneous, is it? So you can, if you're trying to think of something profound to say, it can be quite hard to do it.
I shouldn't not say it's a bad idea.
But if you write something down, you've got time to kind of.
It's strange. I'm just saying strange.
Like your wedding, like when you know.
But I would not do a speech and just send her a letter.
No, but it's that same sort of thing as they've taken the time to write it down.
I'll give you that.
Getting that over.
So you got that. Obviously, you've got the flowers, Bessie. So I think
Amazing
you put it on social media. It was Bruno's last, Joe Linton's last, Almiron's, I want to say as well. That had put something on their Instagram pages, which was a big bouquet of flowers with a message from the club saying thanks for supporting us, really.
As well.
Yeah, thanks for supporting.
That's a shot, like
that was class, absolutely class. Darren Earls going to meeting the fans at the Green Man as well. You met him as well.
Yeah, we met him.
I put it on Twitter. Really, every bugger I've seen on Instagram, the photo with him. And all
he was lovely. He was like, we just timed it perfect. I mean, like literally, you were 30 seconds away from him because you'd literally just left, and he just stood and had a chat with me. And again, like talking about the ambition of where we want to be. He 100%. Like he's been here 5 minutes, but he gave me kind of the confidence in where he wants to take this club, where the owners want to take the club and stuff like that in such a short period of time of just standing outside of Wembley, having a 2 to 5 minute conversation with him, and I'm fully on board with him.
I think that's sports washed.
I've been eels washed.
That's how, like, when we keep saying, you hear people say, "Oh, the club's united again." Like, to have the likes of your director there. You had the Ruben and me at Trafalgar Square. I might a bit on the cover trying, because there could be.
They would have got mobbed.
They would have got mobbed. But to be there, to want to be there, you've got eels just walking around chatting to people. Like, it's amazing. Like, it's unbelievable.
Something's definitely happening in Newcastle, like in a good way. Something,
yeah.
And you look at Dan Ashworth, we haven't mentioned yet, and he's someone else who's being employed by the club. And this is what we're saying, that I fully believe that Newcastle are kind of. I'm not saying that we're going to win everything going and all that. Like, it's a long project.
It'll not be for the one to try.
Other clubs have got their own ambitions, and everyone's trying to win that one title. And there's only one coming every year. So every Man City are going to do it. Man United, Liverpool, Tottenham, Chelsea. Tottenham, a bit of a joke right now, but they're all going for the same thing. But I believe that in years to come, I'm kind of heartened by the start that they've made, and that's been a year and a half now. But I didn't expect we get to a cup final. Now I'm a little bit gutted because I've got loads of shirts at home. I had to buy this on Saturday because none of my shirts fit.
Oh, you thought you might have to and have time to lose
club, mate.
You can't say that way. I've been a fat bastard for years. But I had a little bit of fashion show at home last week. I'm going to wear that one. I was going to wear the 97, 99 one. I tried it on Saturday, and I thought, like, nah, I'll be uncomfortable.
Wait, you're looking at Amanda's comments as well, like after.
So that's the next question, Dick. So
yeah, she did.
There is a question from Baz, right? We'll touch on this one, right? And then I've got a question that I want to ask you as well. So Baz says, what were your feelings about Amanda Stevens' speech on TalkSport this morning, saying we will win the League Cup, we will win the FA Cup, we will win the Premier League, we will win the Champions League?
Ambition?
I've not heard it.
Ambition?
I've but I've got a problem with that.
She didn't put a time frame on it.
Exactly, and that's the key thing. It's like, because Simon Jordan, he's like,
I think the Champions League one.
That's not going to happen. Yeah, but what's
to
say it in the next? And this is what they have always talked about from day one: is their 5 to 10 year plan, business. This is what they want to do. This is their ambitions of where they want the club to see, and for her to be. Yes, it might have been a little bit of spur of the moment after that and that kind of thing, but that's why they've invested in this club. They want to take us from where we are and have us challenging for titles, have us challenging for cups, getting back to Wembley, getting into Europe, building through there and getting into the Champions League and winning it. It'll not happen overnight, as we all know, but God, at least we've sitting there now, we've got an eye on wanting to do that. We've got that hope of being able to go after it, the ambition. We've been starved of that for the last 15 years until they've came in. And as a fan, I want to hear my chairperson, owner, coming out with that kind of, chat around being ambitious and wanting to achieve that. Yeah. Now, it's all well and good, God, like Simon Jordan complaining about when he was Crystal Palace owner and him saying things like that. There's a massive, massive difference in that. We know how much of a backing that the ownership team have got, and that the big important thing is the money, because the money makes a hell of a difference.
It does. I just think you've got to be careful you don't get another "I'd love it if we beat them" moment where it comes back to that listen. I agree with you that as a fan base, as we're sitting around here, we want to hear that, right? I just feel like at times you've got to be careful what you say because it can come back to bite you, and people will have you for it. Because like she's live on there going, "We'll win everything, win the Champions League," and people, I'm telling you now, people will hold her against that. Like they will, not our fans, other people. I'm saying, and I know you might go, "I couldn't fuck what them say," but I'm telling you. You just got to be careful sometimes of having another. I love it moment.
The thing is that they have the opposite.
Because even I was thinking, Jesus, like when she was saying it, I was like, oh.
Well, the opposite 2 years ago when it was it ticking along and accumulation of points and all that. Like, and we've gone from that to, and I mean, I agree with what you're saying.
Remember when we were the richest club in the world and we bought Byrne,
Dan Byrne,
we bought Pope, we bought
yeah.
Remember what they said about that? Look where it's gotten.
They're probably saying it again now, but I know what you're saying though.
I've got no problem with having those ambitions and stating those ambitions. I don't know the context in which she said. Like, I don't know what when she said about the 10-year plan. Are you going to win the Champions League? And just when the day of the takeover, it was Keith Downey said, "I was the plan to win the Champions League," and she was like, "Well, I can't say no to that kind of really." So like,
Bruno said it as well when he signed. I've been told.
I think he said it quite recently. Bruno. It might even be after the game yesterday. But I've got no problem with saying that at all. I agree that if you've got to be careful at times, but if that's her ambition, if she says we are going to try and do this, then I'm excited. I'm really excited for it, and like, and
it will happen. It will happen, obviously.
I was looking at when we stopped at Watford Gap Services on the way down, and there was a Man U. It was all black and white, loads of black and white. As it was a Man U fan with his pen. His little lad would be like 6-7 year old probably, and I was thinking that. It was weird because as part of it, I was like, "Oh, it's lovely to see that." And part of it, I was thinking, "I hope their Bane's crying his heart out in 12 hours' time."
Yeah.
But like, I was looking at that thinking, like, this is the young and there is going to go and watch a football club. Man United are going to be successful because of Man United.
Of course, so yeah.
You know, they've got the success, they've got the fan base, they've got the money, they've got money coming in from all over the world, interest, and that's what we are trying to get to. You know, that's what we are trying to. We'll probably never be as big, however you quantify the size of a club, as Man United in our lifetime, because that's just not how it works. I mean, teams tried and fall off. Man U, Liverpool have got this thing going back how many years. But I was looking at these two things, and I can't wait until that's me and my boys, and we'll be the same. All will be the same. At some point, we're going to start taking my boys to cup finals, and like enjoying it a different way. Kind of just going to drink for you've got to take the Banes and all that'd be nice and all that. But just the drive down, the kid being dead excited. I'm thinking that's mint. That's what I cannot wait to start doing that, and that's what that's what Newcastle are going to be.
Yeah, I think to reference back to what Chris said just ages ago, actually was. Like, we've never been in a position where the opportunity to go to more finals in our lifetime. You know what I mean? I do think it's hard to do, but in terms of being set up correctly to go to another final, this is the best we've ever had.
The foundations there,
and we've got it. There's no doubt about that.
We need to remember we're still at that foundation period right now.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. How many even in league matches we'll look at the bench and go parts of it week.
Exactly. Well, we're making subs, you know, on that game there, and you're seeing Richie come on, and God bless him. And even though Murphy did well, J.T. Murphy and Elliot Anderson, you're like, they're not exactly game changers coming on for it. Yeah. And as you're writing what you say, you might go back 5 years' time.
It takes time. It'll come. It'll come eventually, where people will be looking at Newcastle. And let's say we are at the point where I don't want to say Man City, because what Man City did, we just can't replicate that anytime soon. We just can't. But there will be a point in the future where people will go, "Oh, I can't believe Newcastle haven't made a cup final." Because we will be that team.
We'll be sitting in a bar somewhere talking to somebody, and they'll be going on. We'll be saying, "We've not been there for like 6 years," and be going, "Hey, is that right? That can't be right, surely." Because of Newcastle.
That'll be us.
Yeah, but like Stevie Passmore, one of the lads that I stand with, it's St James's. He asked us a thing earlier for the fortnight. He says, do you think that the substitution thing, you make 5 subs now, where previously people couldn't? And this goes to the strength and depth. I don't like it either. It makes games feel like friendlies to me, international friendlies. But he's made a good point. He says, well, Dallas got booked for that thing on some Maximin earlier. Could have given a penalty later on as well. Wan-Bissaka got booked. And, you know, they think, well,
it's so
the
easy
big clubs
to change
have
it.
got this. There's too many, and we don't have that strength and depth. Yes.
No, I agree. Yeah.
Whereas the bigger clubs who've got these big benches, Klopp wanted it, and Man U, and Arsenal, because they've got the strength and depth that they can just go out. If our fullbacks on a yellow card, we'll bring someone else on.
Absolutely hate it.
Well, them trying to use it because they're in.
You hate that now. We'll get to a point
we'll benefit from it.
Where we'll benefit from it.
We'll probably argue that we already have into it.
Because what I did find mad was everyone's banging on about that Man United were playing an extra game during the week. They were playing Thursday night for periods. You didn't know that.
You wouldn't
like
have
you
said
just wouldn't have said that them had played midweek. Like,
no,
I mean,
we definitely look more tired.
But
I thought we did
that's
as
one of
well.
the-
I thought we did
where
as
the
well.
5 sub thing comes in because you can change almost half your team.
Yeah, and obviously, of course, when you're at that level of money in I mean, Christ Almighty, they took Anthony off and brought fucking Sancho on, man, £100 million, wasn't it?
Aye.
And I'm thinking we've just had to take one from no disrespect, but then bring Murphy on.
Yeah.
Matt Ritchie came on.
Matt Ritchie came on. Like it's listen, it is what it is, and that's why again, like we've overachieved, or we are overachieving with what we have at our disposal.
Right,
There's
we'll
no
end
doubt.
on this one because we've been going more than an hour. You don't say we weren't going to, and I want me bubble bath. Mark, favorite moment of the weekend. Does anybody know off the top of the head why Mark thinks?
Yeah, the flags at the start.
Okay.
No doubt about it.
Possibly for me, the flags at the end.
Yeah.
That was a proper. That was
You
like
saw that coming, didn't you?
It was like almost like a
It
defiance.
was similar to the Man City game. Wasn't it the Man City game at St James's? We were getting absolutely
We got pumped
pummeled,
for Christmas
and like
last one.
towards the end, people started it then again.
It was that, even though it was like we're 2-0 down, we're losing, there's no way back now, and it was like, well, we're behind the team, and that was what made me feel proud when I left the stadium on yesterday. I just felt really, really proud of being I was there, I was part of it. I thought the support at times was like shockingly poor. Certainly where I was, I can't comment for where you were because you do hear it differently depending on where you are and all that. But it was like it's support, and even if it's not screaming and shouting, that was a show of support to let the players know that.
In terms of a moment, obviously it was on a much vaster scale when we're in the Europa League, or if it wasn't called that then, when we conceded at home against Benfica, everyone stood up and applauded.
Yeah.
Like that moment was really special for me. That moment that we're, as you say, we're like thanking them and sort of saying like, all right, we're going to lose here, but we'll still support you. And it's just fantastic. That's what it's all about.
Great moment, Mark.
I think it's probably while the flags were happening, and I was more focused on just watching the players coming out of the stand, and obviously the music was going, flags were going, we were singing and stuff like that. But it was that moment where this is real. We are in a cup final. Obviously, I'd been in the stand, like even that just coming out the stand and taking it all in, it being full and stuff was amazing. But then that moment, them coming out onto the pitch and going into the lineup, and that was like, God, we're here.
Just walking down Olympic Way, but getting off the tube at Wembley Park, and then when you stand, you've got the bridge, and you can see the stadium in the back. That was like, it's black and white in there. That's us. What was yours, Chris?
Do you know what it is? I enjoyed like meeting everybody at Trafalgar Square. Like just
I was gonna say that as well.
Enjoying the moment with like me mates being there, and obviously like bumping like into you
Totally
just on a random corner.
After I nearly got mugged by those Man U.
Like the amount of people where were just stood and like just bumping into people like you normally see in Newcastle at Newcastle games, and we got stopped a few times when we were walking around. Just people coming over and say, "Oh, like I love the podcast." We got it on the way into Wembley. Where it's like, oh lads, I love the podcast, and Taylor was in, and this gives you I like yours
is all right.
I love the chase.
But it was great when on the Saturday in King's Cross, we met a lot of the members that watch every week, and they came along, met in the pub, came into Trafalgar Square, and it was like literally we got a photo with kind of all of us that were there, all of the guys and girls from the members group that came and met her as well, and we, all took pictures together, and it was nice. A great experience just to share.
Lush weekend,
This morning, I went and had a cup of coffee. My mate was still in bed, and we shared a double bed last night. Like lovely kind of homoerotic moment that we had. Stunk as well because I had a curry last night.
Jesus,
wasn't as bad as I thought it'd be. So I walked in.
I'll ask him.
I walked in, I had a cup of coffee. I walked back to the room, and I was getting my cake. The fella goes, "Oh, you doing a podcast tonight?" I was like, I think so, mate. I think we're all quite emotional yesterday, so I don't know. But I was like, just nice to see. Hello, by the way, mate. Lovely to see you this morning.
Well, like literally walking.
A few people walk past me. We're going to win, like just randomly walking past us. Oh, it's lush that.
Coming out after the game, like obviously we'd all been together and stuff. But then in the crowd, you get like kind of separated up and stuff. And I'm walking along, and I find myself just walking along. And it's like, oh, all right, Mark, how's it going? Right. I'm like, oh, all right.
Actually, no, it is.
Like, got one, which was amazing. You don't know this one yet. So some kid comes over and he's like, oh, lads, I love the podcast, blah, blah, blah. Then his dad's hovering around her as well. And he goes, oh, Mark, I know you're from Pokemon.
Pokemon Go. We were friends on Pokemon Go.
Unbelievable.
I'm not paying
Me
that.
and-
You've made it.
Me
You've
and
made
Adam
it.
were gone.
Unbelievable.
Absolutely gone.
Yeah, I wish I'd been there.
When I bumped into you, I was going to meet Taylor and me mate Kevin in the corner house.
I forgot about that.
And I was walking over this bridge away from Wembley, like about an hour before kick-off. And there was loads of Man U fans singing that Shearer songs. That's all they did yesterday. And one of them tried to grab me scarf, and I thought, I don't need this, like, as well. Anyway, I got away from them, and I looked up, and these lads were there. Shell, U2, not Bono and Edge and that. Man U fans anyway, I think. So it's like, but a few, like, and I was like, oh, I said, Lord, me mate. I saw me. I was going to meet me mate Kev, and then Kev walked down the street with Stevie. I was like, I had a couple of like I can before the Polis moved on, but it was like that was a nice moment because I thought honestly I want to try and catch up with the lads and that. And I didn't think I would. So
Just out of chance. I was
totally
absolutely class.
random. I had no business. Me mate Kieran walked into the stadium, so I thought, I don't want to go in there yet. I looked at the fan park. I queued up to get in the fan park, and someone was coming out and said, "Like me, I better just get in the park."
There's one bar.
That is one thing that I do have to say. The provision both in and outside of the ground for getting drinks and having fans was horrendous.
Well,
yeah.
Absolutely horrendous.
I was in a massive queue when I got in. There was a huge queue for what I was in with Adam. I had a massive queue for the bar and a massive queue for the toilet. So I thought, right, I got to beer
Which
first.
one
I
first?
want a beer more than I want to wait. I didn't go for a wait until half time in the end. Oh no, I did full game, but it was a huge queue. It took 10 minutes. It wasn't.
It's
By
ridiculous.
the time it got going, it wasn't that bad. 10 minutes I can live with it.
We tried getting one pub, it wasn't moving anywhere. Like
Half time.
I didn't want to spend my whole day of Wembley.
There was
in a
people
fucking queue.
queuing for 45 minutes to get into pubs.
I queued a long time.
You then
ago.
was
getting
empty
in,
now,
and
wasn't it?
you-
Outside it was
yeah,
empty. It
you
was really
then
quiet.
queuing in. It's 10 deep at the bar. It's ridiculous. The only place that I've heard any positives about, kind of in and around Wembley, is Box Park, and that's because they limited it down to a certain number of people that they can take in, but people had to pay £10 for the privilege of doing so.
I don't know how to pay to get in there. I
Pay,
didn't realise
yeah.
that.
So
Right, well, boys, on to the next one. Man City
Man
coming
City,
up.
isn't it?
Can't wait for that.
Get on with
Right,
that.
so we'll just skip next week.
So,
Yeah.
so we'll be back to normal, back to match previews, match reactions next week.
we might actually talk about the game next week.
Yeah, probably. But fingers crossed, it's a bit better than what we've seen the last 2 weeks. And we actually scored a goal.
Be nice. I can't say it.
Crossed,
Like,
fingers crossed. Thanks everybody, and like we said, it's been a pleasure meeting you over the weekend as well. We've really enjoyed it. So see you next time.
Until
What
next
you're
time,
doing. I like the video as well. Mark forgot to tell you. See you later.